Hello everyone, welcome back to Rolling Solo. My name is Adam Smith. This is the finale for the Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. We're going to pick it up exactly where we left off in the last episode, and as you guys remember, if you've seen it already, we are in what's called the battle mode, which is an exciting mode that I wanted to show you guys from the get-go to actually give you an idea as to something really new and interesting that's introduced in Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth, that games like Imperial Assault and Mansions of Madness don't have this type of kind of in-depth battle and combat system going on here with terrain pieces. They have it kind of inside the game itself at the one perspective level, but where the way Journeys works essentially is you have a high level where you're battling, as we saw throughout the first three parts of this, and then you also have these in-depth kind of nitty-gritty battles where you might be going after a specific boss or enemy at the end, which I find really cool that it tiers it like that, gives you that feeling that you really have just traveled across Middle-earth and finally found the lair, and now we're going to try to take down the individuals inside of it. So what I really want to talk about before we get back to the table is just the cool terrain pieces here in the app, and there is a function for them besides just looks. Of course, everything on the outside of the battle map is just there for looks, but inside of it, things matter. So you have things called bushes, for instance, and if you click on the bush, the rules for those terrain pieces are actually built inside of the app, which is really handy because you don't have to go to the rule book at any point in time to figure out what this terrain or how it can impact you either positively or negatively. In this case, it says, for a bush, after you end your turn in a space containing one, you may test your wit. If you get 2 successes, then you are able to become hidden. Hidden is basically a nice condition or boon for your character that allows you to either have an advantage when attacking or an advantage when defending, and you get to choose, which is pretty awesome. So if we end our turn in either of these 2 spaces right here, we're going to be able to take advantage of that if we get the actual successes we need, of course. In terms of other terrain, we have walls. So there's 3 walls here, and the walls separate spaces essentially, and basically it means that neither of them are going to be adjacent to or nearby each other. So if I have Legolas right here and I have Aragorn over here, I'm not taking advantage of Aragorn's abilities across the wall. He's not going to be able to help scout or help Legolas scout, I should say, but he'll of course be able to take advantage of that. So that's what walls are for, dividing up that, stopping that ability. We also have rock here, or boulder. It says, while in a space with a boulder, if you test to negate your damage or fear, you may convert a fate to a success. So basically, the boulder is giving you cover, essentially, which makes perfect thematic sense. You also have the fire pit in this case. So it says, while in a space containing a fire pit, if you attack, you may discard a card with a fate icon from the test to apply pierce or smite. Really cool. So essentially, by being in this area with fire, you're basically either heating up your sword, essentially, or you could think of lighting up an arrow on fire and firing it. So again, it just adds an ability for pierce, of course, going through armor. Smite, and it's going to do what it's going to do. I actually haven't had to use smite yet, so maybe that's something I could use and take a look into to see what it'll do. But all that's noted on the back of the rules reference. But again, very cool that you can kind of enhance your attacks by being in this central area in this place, which I think will likely come in handy. And then, of course, we have 2 tokens on the board. So these were specific to the story. We're able to click on these before. So this one here, again, is all relating to reinforcements. We read earlier that there's essentially something going on over here, and if we're able to interact with this token and sabotage it, we can stop the ability for more reinforcements to come pouring into this area here. So that's something we really want to focus on. Plus, it's going to give us an extra threat when we're calculating our threat total across this bar up here, which has gone way down from the last playthroughs to 26, and then the first threat event's at 6. So if we're getting 1 from here and 2 from each of our heroes, we're going to be up to 5. 1 away from 6, so we won't get it for going into the second round in terms of a threat event, but you never know, the game state might change and we might see another threat token land, who knows. Down here we have a search token. This one, it says a lean-to displays a strange symbol painted on its front. Your foes position themselves to defend the structure. Their leader is surely within. So we can either sneak in or taunt. So again, that'll relate back to skills that make sense. We'll likely be checking against them and trying to get the leader to come out and fight us or sneak in and maybe have an advantage of some type. So that's all there is about the battle map. For now, there's tons of other terrain pieces that came in the game, like I believe there's rivers. The river pieces can actually sit on these edges as well, and I'm sure they have some impact as well. Likely do, my assumption would be, is maybe increased movement costs going across them or something along those lines. So there's other terrain that's not being talked about in this playthrough for sure, guys, that you saw during the unboxing. So when you run into those during your adventure, the app will be able to specify all that stuff for you. Without any further ado, we've covered everything to do with battle mat and terrain that we really need to talk about here, and I'll be able to click on them as we go if we forget. We're going to head back to the game table here as Legolas and Aragorn begin in from this space down here, trying to take out every enemy in this map. And we're back at the battle board here. We have Aragorn and Legolas ready to go. I'm going to have Legolas actually start us off, and we also don't want to forget when we're getting ready for a new adventure, and this is considered a new adventure, that we always get to prep the cards that have those stars around the title from our deck. So we have Resourceful here from Legolas. It says, after you prepare this skill, gain 1 inspiration. At the end of your turn, you may discard this skill to gain 1 inspiration or scout 1. So I'm going to actually go into this actual first round with an inspiration on Legolas, whereas Aragorn isn't going to have that advantage. But Aragorn has the advantage of well provisioned, which we remember from the very first chapter we played through. At the start of your turn, you may discard the skill for you and a nearby hero to scout 2, really helping us out when we make attacks. So it could be the right time to use those, or it may not be. That's really the question. Remembering we still have Lead the Charge on Aragorn as another prepared card that we got during our scout, and that one allows me to take a free action or attack action with Legolas, which is really cool. And then Legolas has Keen Eyes, allowing him to target individuals 2 spaces away that I prepped. So that's really handy right now because all the enemies are 2 spaces away. So, with that said, I might as well go ahead and activate Legolas first. So he's going to tell Aragorn to step out of the way, as he's going to go ahead and target the weakest of the 2, this guy up here, who has 5 HP and 2 armor. So we're going to be going to our skill deck here and pulling cards for this. Now remember, I do have 1 inspiration token to spend, so that's good news. I'm using my agility, which is 4, so we're pulling 4 cards off the top and seeing how this goes. First card off the top is Light-Footed, which is a success. We definitely like seeing that. Second one is Tireless. That's a card that we don't want to see. Doesn't have any advantage for us. Time of Need. Ooh, talk about a time of need indeed. We definitely have the inspiration to convert one of those. And Coordinated Strike, the new skill we added to our deck, but gives us nothing in terms of an icon. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 1 of my inspiration in order to actually get 2 successes here, giving me 5 successful hits on the Great Bow, which is fantastic. Then, because now I really want to take this guy down, 5 hits would have me go 2 into his armor and then 3 into his HP, leaving me with 2 HP left to go. I'm going to go ahead and discard Keen Eyes, which allowed me in the first place to take this 2-range shot. We can discard at the bottom for strike 2. When you attack, discard to add 2 hits. So I'm going to toss this, even though I love this card, in order to get all the hits necessary to strike and take down the orc up top. So that orc did not see the arrow coming straight for him. It's a regular orc here, but it got 7 hits, which is way more than enough to take it down. So we're going to click through all of this, and he is out of here. Confirm his demise, and what's going to happen? Remove it, of course, and you or a nearby hero gain an inspiration. Now this is where things get interesting. I know that Aragorn is going to be activating next after I make 1 potential attack with Legolas, or a move, or do something else with his last action. But I think Aragorn will be the one to give the inspiration to in this case. So I'm going to actually have Legolas give the inspiration to Aragorn for this particular kill. So Legolas is going to go with his second action here, and I'm going to go ahead and actually move. So I'm going to move right here to this location, and I'm going to go ahead and try to interact with this bush. As it mentions in the app that at the very end of my turn, I can make a check using wit, trying to get 2 successes in order to become hidden, and hopefully that pans out for me. So let's go ahead and reveal these cards. Again, I have no inspiration at all to spend here, so that's not really helpful, but here's hoping something good happens. That's good. We got a precise strike, so I'm happy with that. And oh my gosh, that's amazing. I'm good with that. Perfect. We got our successes just when we need them, which is just enough to get us hidden. So what's going to happen now is we're going to have a hidden card that is going to be attached to Legolas. And this is the first time we've seen this, I believe. This one says, if you are attacked before you test, prevent all wounds and discard this boon. When you attack, you may discard this boon to add a success. So again, as I mentioned, defense or offense, however you want to go about it. So this card is now on Legolas and can be used either way. I'm going to go ahead and have Legolas kind of hide behind the bush here, just like this, at a sight, because nobody knows he's there. So Aragorn is going to begin his turn by moving, so 2 movement points to get right into this area with this enemy. And remember, he has an inspiration because Legolas was kind enough to give him one back when Legolas was in this location and shot the enemy here and gained an inspiration. He gave it to Aragorn, and now Aragorn has it on his hero card. So it's going to help him during the check. We're going to go ahead and make an attack for sure, and we also have lead the charge on Aragorn as we see in the past, which after an attack, I can go ahead and allow Legolas to make a shot, and he will definitely be happy to do so, hiding behind this bush, which is perfect cover and gives him potentially an extra success if I discard the hidden. So we're going to go to Aragorn now. We're going to go ahead and pull 3 cards for might. So I've got his whole deck in hand here, and we already know a couple of them because we've preset them, but who knows what the rest of them will be like. So we're looking for as many successes as possible. So right off the top, we have Strider. We know that was going to be a success from the last video when we set things up. So we're getting into unfamiliar terrain as we go forward here, and that is certainly one. Kind of ironic that I just said unfamiliar terrain and that says off course, so that's pretty awesome. That was not planned, I can guarantee that. And then look at this, Strider. So there you go, 2 successes. It looks like things are coming together for me, so I didn't even need to use my inspiration for this. This is going to gain me, now again, it's only going to gain me two successes, which will give me 5 hits on using my sword, which is great. I could discard lead the charge to gain an additional 2 hits, but I really want to keep that because I want Legolas to be able to take a shot here. So I'm going to go ahead and just say 5 hits is good enough. The only downside to that is, of course, I'm going to get attacked here in a second. So we're now going to go ahead and let the app know that the elite has just been hit for 5. Now remember up here at the top, I talked about this earlier on, but there's different buttons you can click to see the the reasons and the differences in abilities for your particular orc that you might be attacking. So in this case, the reason it has so much health is because it's a large enemy. So it has additional bonuses of health, not only that, but armor on top of it. I did 5 damage, and that's a decent amount, but it's not enough to kill it. And remember, armor regenerates, so it'll go basically back up to 6 essentially in the end in terms of how many hits I need to kill it next time. So I apply 5, and the downside of this is it's going to be able to attack me back because I am in the same space as it, and it is a melee focused character. It's not range, there's no icon for range on there. So it's hitting me back. It says an orc charges you, bellowing in an attempt to frighten you into submission. Your might negates. That's good for Aragorn because his might is 3. And it says here, 1 damage, 1 fear, and they both would be coming to me face up, 1 at a time, resolved. If you would suffer any damage from this attack, you and the Orc Marauder move 1 space toward the closest threat token if possible. That's actually not a bad thing. That actually works out pretty good. It's kind of like pushing us back, and actually I could purposely push us back into the fire area where we could get a benefit from that, which would be kind of cool. So we'll see how this pans out, but we got to start with trying to negate things, and obviously I'd like to negate as much as possible. All right, Aragorn, you're going to try to negate this attack of 1 damage and 1 fear coming your way. You got 3 cards to do it. Let's see how it goes. I have 1 inspiration to spend. First card up is 1 fate icon I can convert with an inspiration. I got another fate icon that I wouldn't be able to do anything with, and of course a blank, so that's not going to work out. So basically I can use one of these inspiration tokens I have, which is the only one I have, in order to negate either damage or fear. Now I have a couple options here because the app says if I suffer any damage from this attack, me and the orc can move a space towards the closest threat token, which is way up here, over here, up in the top right hand corner. So it would be handy for a couple reasons. One, I could actually move across this line up here because I have this whole space counts as 1 space and it's adjacent to the actual threat token space, which would be perfect to get me in there to be able to try and shut it off before something happens, which would be really useful. The downside of doing that is I'm moving away from Legolas, who will be able to do a free attack at the end of this and be able to hit this guy if I get enough damage on him. The downside is he's got armor, so I may not even be able to get through that. So that's where it's really tough to decide which is better. I might gamble on seeing how Legolas's attack goes and decide in this case I can choose to either take the damage or the fear. Now, if I choose to take the damage, I guess the question would be, is my travel garb says before you suffer damage or face down damage, you may prevent 1 of that. So it wouldn't be considered face down, it'd be considered face up. So that wouldn't come into play, and it is a you may. So we'll have to see how this pans out. So we're gonna go with damage, I think. as that one makes sense. Or maybe, you know what, maybe the travel garb, with the fact that it gives an extra increase of my fear limit by 1, so I have 6 max fear and 5 damage. It makes more sense to take the fear rather than the damage. So it's a tough call. It's a very tough call. I'm going to probably go ahead and take the damage. I'll take the damage. I'll just take the damage. So we're going to go with damage, and we got ourselves, it looks like it is weariness. Flip the card face down. Oh, that's kind of ironic, because we were just talking about if I have the travel garb, which I do, before you suffer face down damage, you may prevent one of that. So I'm just going to prevent it. It ain't happening, so that's perfect. So I actually negated not only the fear, but also was able to discard the damage. So I took no damage at all. And because of that, I'm not going to be able to move closer to the threat token. And the bonus to that is that Legolas can still do his free attack because he's within range. So Legolas now is going to take his free attack from the bush area, and he's got this hidden card that says when you attack, you may discard this boon to add a success. I may or may not use this. We'll see how the actual check goes. Again, I get to pull 4 cards because I'm using agility, I'm using my bow. So here we go. First one off the top is slowed. Okay, so that's not what I wanted to see for Legolas. Next one is honed agility with a fate icon. Again, we're only caring about the icons. I don't even have any inspiration, so fate is not good for me. Precise strike is a success, so that's good. 1 success guarantees me 2 hits. And the last one is a miss. So we only got 1 in there. So I'm going to go ahead and discard hidden in order to kind of come out of this area, out in the open, and take a shot at the orc. It's going to actually turn into 5 hits total, which is actually pretty good. So we're going to input some damage on this elite here that we're trying to take down. So I don't know how close we'll get. Oh, well, looks like we'll be 1 shy. Oh, that's brutal. Yep, just 1. And there's nothing I can do to pump that up any higher either. That's unfortunate. So there's 5 hits being applied. So the good news is that they cannot attack. That enemy can't attack back because Legolas is 1 space away, and this elite enemy does not have range, so it is a no, which is great news. And that is actually going to end this particular action phase. All right, so we're going to end our hero's turn by hitting the sand timer here and saying end the action phase. Confirm. The shadow deepens, though hope yet endures. Threat increases by 5, so that's going to be counting the 1 threat token that's hiding off in the distance over here, plus the 4 total for our heroes. Getting us super close to the next threat event, and look at that, we're going to throw back to the rally phase where we're going to be able to scout 2 for each of our characters. Great news is everybody's in range of Aragorn, including Aragorn himself, so everyone's going to be able to scout 3. So we'll begin by scouting 3 with Aragorn. We've got ourselves, before you test, you may discard this skill to test wisdom instead, or you can sprint 1 if you discard the card to move a space. Clever wit. When you test your wit, you may discard this skill to add 1 success. Not bad. Has a fate icon up top. Ooh, there we go. Strider. Love this card. So strike 3 and guard 2. That is the one that I definitely want to... ooh, this is a question here because I got another success I've already prepared. If I prepare this success, then I'll only have 2 in the entire deck, but a strike 3 is really good. Could come in really handy with going against the elite. So you know what? I think I'm going to do it. I think it makes sense right now to do that. Now what I'm going to do, in order to guarantee I can use this in inspiration later on, is I'm going to put the clever wit back on top of the deck, and I'm going to throw this other one to the bottom of the deck. At least I'm going to set myself up for hopefully a success here, or a potential success, going into a combat. So now Legolas is going to go ahead and scout 3. First one off the top. Oh, nice. This is Coordinated Strike. This is one of the new skill cards added to Legolas's deck in between Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. It says, before you strike with this skill, if there is another hero in your target's space, okay, that's perfect, add a modifier of your choice to the attack. That's literally exactly the situation right now. Legolas is just outside, adjacent to the space where Aragorn currently is in a space beside him with the enemy we're trying to attack. That would be a perfect time to use this card and actually see it in action. So that is probably the one I'm going to want to prepare. The other one here I've got is Precise Strike, which is going to be very helpful if we actually make an attack. I can put that on top. And oh my goodness, that is a killer start. So I'm definitely going to go ahead and just take both of those successes, happily put them on top of the deck. And I'm going to take this coordinated strike card and place it right here. I'm pretty sure I know exactly who's going first in this upcoming action phase. So this is a perfect time to talk about the 6 different types of attack modifiers, seeing as I'm definitely going to be using coordinated strike. Finally, I'm able to actually make sense to add this into the videos, and I think you guys will be interested to see this, as we haven't seen all the attack modifiers come into play yet, but you've probably noticed them when we went to go put hits on enemies. They're up above where you'd put your hits in, and they're pierce, smite, sunder, cleave, lethal, and stun. Most of them are pretty straightforward. Pierce is going to go through armor. Basically, it means it ignores it completely and then goes straight to the HP. Smite is going to ignore the enemy's sorcery if they have any, but we've never seen sorcery yet, but that just proves there's more facets to the combat than we can expect to see in the first couple chapters. Sunder, this attack permanently reduces the enemy's armor by 1 before hits are applied. Cleave, each enemy in the group suffers the full number of hits. That's pretty crazy. Lethal, if this attack reduces the enemy's current health by at least half, the enemy's defeated, meaning that the hit was so deadly it kills them instantly. So obviously later weapons will probably have lethal. And finally, stun. This attack exhausts the enemy group in general. If the group is elite, it also cannot counterattack this attack, which is pretty awesome. Alright, so we're going to start off with Legolas in the action phase. I did want to make mention of the fact there is a boulder here. I did not need to use the boulder during Aragorn's attack at all in order to help me negate damage, because his travel garb did all the work, plus his skill test check to negate those fear and damage that he had coming to him. So everything worked out in a way I didn't need to take advantage of the terrain, but there will be times where I might. So if you're just wondering why I didn't talk about it, it's mainly because I didn't need it. And of course, you don't have to use terrain. You just can if you run into it, unless of course it's like a hindrance or something that actually will impact you, like a wall, for instance, where you have to take it into account. So in this case, we're going to start off with Legolas. He's going to make an attack into this space. I did pull coordinated strike out, and I did prep that one. It does allow me, before I strike with this skill, if there's another hero in your target space, which there is, Aragorn, add a modifier of your choice to the attack, and I get a strike 1, which is pretty awesome. So I could do this, and really what that would do, which is kind of hilarious, is the strike 1 would add a single hit, and if I choose a particular modifier, I could choose something like Pierce, which is 2 armor. Basically, it goes through your armor. Sorry, all armor gets ignored. This individual has 1 health and 2 armor remaining, so this coordinated strike, literally by itself, before I even test, would just wreck this individual. Now, it might sound like a great time to use that, but the downside is you have to remember it says before you strike with this skill. If there's another hero in your target space, add a modifier of your choice. And strike cards are during your attack test. So you still have to do the attack test, meaning you're going to have to burn skill cards off the top of your deck. I've already prepared my deck in a way, when I scouted, that I put 2 successes on top. It would not be a wise decision to use this card right now, even though I thought it might have been, because I'll be burning successes. I'd rather just use the successes as is, so I'm not going to do a coordinated strike yet. I'm going to wait for a better time frame or window to do it. So for now, Legolas, knowing he has 2 successes on top of this deck, is going to go ahead and make some very, very interesting shots that we know are going to land and do enough damage to take this thing down. So we have to pull 4 cards because we're doing an agility check on the Great Bow. So here we go. So here is the first success, which we knew about from when we actually scouted ahead. Second success, perfect. We really don't care about the rest, but we have to pull them anyway. So, oh no, we burnt another success. So we burned 3 successes there. That's mass overkill. So really, I can do a 5 hit and a 2 hit, which is a total of 7 hits against this guy, which is truly crazy overkill on this individual. So we're going to go ahead into the app and let it know that Legolas just took this elite individual down, no problem. So that orc did not stand a chance at all. So we're going to go ahead here and just hit this thing for 7, which is crazy amount of damage, way overkill. And it has been removed, and also we gain an inspiration, and we can give it away if we so choose. And right now Legolas doesn't have any, and Aragorn has 1, so I'm going to actually keep it on Legolas. And we're going to hit continue. Now we're going to head back to the map because we have no enemies, so we can actually have our heroes try to interact or move into areas to interact with some of these tokens. All right, Legolas, it's time to get in there. Let's go ahead and move to. We're going to go here and then here. Now, I've run out of actions to be able to interact with this particular token. And the hilarious thing about this, and kind of sad, is that the threat event is going to trigger next, which is likely going to have a whole bunch of enemies pour out. So it's going to be interesting as we try to get ourselves in positions that make the most sense for what is going to be a threat event, which I don't know how it's going to work. Now, in terms of Aragorn, this is where things get interesting, because I could have Aragorn actually try to get over there and interact with it and maybe be able to take it out before that happens, which might be a good idea. And then we can deal with the main objective, where we'd have to go in here and try to basically pull out the major boss that we're trying to take down right now. So I'm tempted, because I also could have Aragorn run around here and try to do that, but maybe having both on the board at the same time is a bad thing. Either way, Legolas's turn is completed. Aragorn gets to begin now. Now, just before Legolas actually ends his turn completely, I do want to use this card because I think it's going to come in handy. Resourceful. It says, at the end of your turn, you may discard the skill to gain an inspiration or scout one. So I'm not going to need to scout anymore this turn, but I definitely would love to have another inspiration. So that's going to get Legolas up to an inspiration total of 2. He's got 2 on him now. Aragorn has 1, and Aragorn now begins his turn. Yeah, I'm going to actually have Aragorn head towards that threat token to help Legolas out. Plus, if we stay closer together, we can then scout and have a more efficient scout going into the next turn, which could turn into more enemies showing up on the board. So Aragorn's going to spend 1 movement point of his movement action, and that's all he can do to move this far. I can continue moving onwards, but if I really want to interact with this threat token, I'd have to stop right now. So let's head to the app, click on it, and see what happens. I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty interested to see how this is going to turn out, because I'm not 100% sure on this. So, we are going to try to sabotage this thing by spending my second action, finding the chain that raises the portcullis, if I'm saying that correctly, the portcullis. You attempt to unbalance the weights and break it. All right, so let's go ahead and do this test and hope we get enough successes. So the good news is that Aragorn's wit is 3, so hopefully we can do something productive here. I don't have any other abilities that are going to give him a bonus, so I'm going into this one just with the cards. So here we go. We got ourselves Clever Wit. That's ironic. That would have been the perfect one to have for this, and we actually put it on top of our deck. But it just gives us 1 fate icon, which we can turn into a success. We have another fate icon showing up, and lastly, that's not going to work. So in order to at least get some kind of success, I'm going to go ahead and spend the 1 inspiration that's on me in order to convert to a success. This might be a waste, but I'd like to try to get at least something on it. So as of right now, not so strong in the wit department, 1 success. The links of the rusted chain creak and groan, but they do not yet surrender. Well, that's not good. Okay, that is it. That is the end of the hero's turn in the action phase, and we are going to end it off by hitting the timer here to end it and see what happens. Now we're going to a shadow phase, threat event and everything. The shadow deepens, the hope yet endures, threat increases by 5. We go blazing past the 6. A bandit archer on a high wall loses a shaft with practiced precision as more enemies scramble into the courtyard. Oh, this is oh no! Aragorn's going to suffer 2 wounds, but my agility can potentially negate. Let's go ahead and see whether or not I can negate this stuff. All right, so Aragorn is going to be suffering 2 face-up damage, and I have to try to negate this with my agility, which is 2, which is not very good. So here we go. Wish me luck. First one off the top is Ancient Wisdom, not going to help us, and I've already spent my inspiration, so I can't convert that one. And second one is Time of Need, which is also not going to help me. That's not good at all. So the only other thing that I have going for me right now is the fact that I went ahead and I did use this right here, or I should say I prepared this earlier on. And this is Stride or Guard 2. Discard to prevent 2 wounds or fear from for a hero in your space. And that, of course, includes yourself. So I'm going to go ahead and discard that to avoid taking those 2 damage, which is good. I was hoping to use that with Legolas, but it looks like Aragorn needed it instead. So that attack was completely negated, which is great news. This is not great news. Place 1 Goblin Scout on the indicated place. So we are going to have a new Goblin Scout showing up just outside of where we are in now. Now again, we have a wall separating us and stuff like this, but in terms of that, it just actually indicates, it talks about nearby and things like that. So they can still shoot me from there, from my understanding. We'll continue onwards. Oh, this is bad. One ruffian is going to show up in this reinforcement space that we're trying to sabotage. So that's going to be an issue. So we got to... Oh, things are getting interesting here. Okay, so just the two, not too terrible, and at least we're hopefully in a position to deal with both of them. Let's head to the table, put them both on the map, and also we'll do our scouting, which is going to result in both characters doing a scout 3. So we got both of the enemies on the board now. The goblin scout is right here, and we've got the ruffian who showed up right behind us coming out of the reinforcement area. We're going to have to deal with both of these, but first, both of our characters are going to scout 3. We're going to start off our scout 3 with Legolas and see how it goes. We got 2 inspiration. Ah, nice. Precise strike. Love it. This gives me a strike 3 when you attack. That's huge if I wanted to prepare it, but it also gives me a success to manipulate. That's great. Honed agility. When you test your agility, you may discard the skill to add a success. Also really handy. And finally, resourceful. There's the card that I actually burned last turn, shuffled back in, came back up again, and it says after you prepare the skill, you gain an inspiration, which is also really good. There's so many good choices here, so I'm half tempted to actually go for the inspiration, because that would give me, well, more inspiration allows me to have a better chance at actually landing a really, really powerful shot. So maybe I'll do that. I'll do resourceful, and I'm going to put honed agility on top like this, and then precise strike back on top like this. We're also going to have to take a look at the HP and the armor and whatever else is on these enemies that just came on the board to see how strong they are, but we know neither of them are elite, so we shouldn't need too much damage to take them down. We'll see how that goes. All right, Aragorn, let's see how it goes for you. 3 off the top. So time of need, not very handy when we don't have any inspiration. This one says, though, if we go ahead and we actually prepare this, when you test, if you do not reveal any successes, you may discard the skill to convert. So again, that one's still really good. Might be worth preparing that one because I don't have any inspiration to spend on it anyway. Ancient Wisdom just gives you a success on Wisdom. And Clever Wit is for wit. Now, we do know we need the wit for that particular check in the corner to get rid of the reinforcements, so that's also tempting. And my wit is decent on Aragorn at 3. Legolas is decent at 3 as well. That's kind of a tough choice, to be honest. But as you can see, I don't have a single success in any of these. So I'm half tempted to potentially try to shore up some successes in some way here. This is going to be quite interesting. Legolas is not going to be able to reach the scout, the goblin scout, from distance. It's going to have to wait till it comes closer to us, but the ruffian we should be able to take down. Maybe I should prepare Aragorn in order to do the check for the... yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and prepare Clever Wit, knowing that we think we need wit in order to make this thing successful. And then in terms of these, I want to get rid of both of them because I don't have any inspiration. I need to see successes on Aragorn, so I'm going to drop these to the bottom of the deck, thereby giving me hopefully a better odds of seeing successes on top. So Aragorn's going to start us off. This ruffian that came through as a reinforcement has 5 health. I'm going to go ahead and have Legolas flip right around and make an attack using agility with 4 cards. Here we go. And we know we set up some good cards off the top here anyway. So we got Precise Strike for 1 success, a potential success there, a lot of potential success there, and I do have 2 or 3 inspiration. What do I have here? 2 on Legolas, so I can definitely do what I need to do here. So with 4, I'm going to go ahead and take this 1 inspiration token to turn into 2 successes, giving me 5 on my bow. This guy has just been shot straight over the wall. Legolas took him out, no problem. Let's let the app know about that. That ruffian did not stand a chance and has been taken out of the game super fast, just like that. And you can see here, you or a nearby hero is going to gain 1 inspiration. I'm going to choose to give the inspiration to Aragorn, as he's going to be the one probably putting the most successes towards a wit check. Although I could see Legolas doing it too, as he has an equal skill in wit. But we did prepare a wit card with Aragorn, so I'll just give it to Aragorn. He doesn't have any anyway. And we'll continue onwards. He disappears. We only have a goblin scout in this area here, so we can kind of ignore him for now while we try to interact with this token. So with Aragorn, or I should say Legolas, sorry, being in this particular space, I'm going to go ahead and interact with this right away and have Legolas make a second check, or second action to sabotage this and see how well he does. So in this case, we're doing the exact same type of test. Let's head back to the table and see how well Legolas can do. So now Legolas is focused primarily on then interacting with the token. He has a wit of 3. I have nothing else that I can do card-wise to bonus that in any way, shape, or form. So we're just hoping for successes. I do have an inspiration to spend, though. So first one off the top is Undying Might. I can turn that into a success. This one here, Unyielding Spirit, will do nothing for me. And lastly, Precision Strike, which gives me a success. Perfect. So I'm going to go ahead and spend 2, or I should say 1 inspiration to get 2 successes. We'll head to the app. 2 successes isn't bad, and we've already got 1 on there, so this should help. The chain snaps, shrieking and clattering as the mechanism shatters. Threat decreases by 6. That's huge. It keeps us from hitting that threat event. Discard this threat token. Nice. So we did actually succeed at that, surprisingly. And we still have Aragorn yet to go. So we know what Aragorn's going to want to do now. He is going to want to book it over here as fast as possible. So I'm going to have Aragorn move 2. And then he's going to interact with this token. So I'll click on this now. The real question becomes, do we want to try to sneak or do we want to try to taunt the leader out? Now the fun part is I have no idea which one's going to use which skill, but my guess would be that wit is probably going to be used for taunting the leader out, or maybe might. And if that's the case, Aragorn's strongest in those categories. Agility, sneaking, not so much this thing. That's more of what Legolas would do. So I'm going to taunt him out. Okay, that threw a curveball for sure. So readying your weapon, you call out a ringing challenge to whoever may be within. I'm actually testing my spirit, which I didn't see coming. So Aragorn, we've prepared you. Hopefully this is going to be successful. Just before we do our spirit check with Aragorn, looking for as many successes as possible, Legolas here does gain inspiration from the kill that he got up top, so he's got that on his card. I wanted to show you guys that visually as I already did it off screen. And here, in terms of Aragorn, though, he's going to go ahead and use a prepare card called Well Provisioned. This one says at the start of your turn, you may discard this skill for you and a nearby hero to scout to. This is going to be really useful for him because he doesn't have as much of familiarity with what's on top of his deck based on how he handled his preparation phase last. So I'm going to go ahead and pull 2 cards off the deck, and it's because it's not during the rally phase, I don't get the additional benefit from his ability. So here we go. These are the 2 cards that I got, both of which are useless because I don't have inspiration on Aragorn, so I'm going to chuck them to the bottom of the deck. And a cool thing about that well-provisioned card is it's at the start of your turn. And so I would have done this obviously prior to moving over here, but I was still inside of the app and trying to cut corners to keep things nice and quick for you guys watching. But now we're here and I want to make this particular check. So I'm doing that kind of retroactively, but not having any additional knowledge either in terms of the game state changing. So we should be all fine there. Hopefully that's okay. Now I'm going to go to my deck here. We're going to flip 2 cards for this check because I'm testing my spirit, which is 2, looking for as many successes as possible. Unyielding Spirit, another one of them, does not help me. Next one, a Fey Mood, also does not help me, so that is a big ol' fail right there, and we're going to go to the app and let them know that nothing worked out in our favor on that skill check. So if anything, we just probably made him madder because we didn't actually succeed at that at all. Oh, we still got him out. You hear a guttural laugh and an enormous scarred orc charges from within the lean-to. He slashes at you with a longsword, driving you back. Discard this search token, then place 1 orc marauder as indicated. This is Gul Gotar, the orc leader. I did not expect that on a 0 success check he was going to come out. I wonder if that has some nasty effects for us because we didn't have the spirit going for us. This is going to be interesting. So he's going to show up in the same space. We got some lore. The scarred orc bears a large tattoo on his bulbous arm, the same strange sigil you saw painted on the tent. The symbol is an amalgamation of orc superiority and something foreign, or perhaps very old, like twisted script of westernness inscribed by an evil hand. Regardless, the reverence of all those around him mark this orc as their leader, and if defeated, surely your foes will flee. Lore increases by 1, and of course we have to defeat him in order to win the game as the final objective. So at least we now know what the final objective is. Let's take a look at him and see how nasty he is. Oh my gosh. Okay, so he's got 10 HP, 3 armor. He's well equipped. Each enemy gains extra health and armor. Okay, so that's probably making the Goblin Scout worse for us. Orc Champion, when he attacks us, his damage and his fear are increased. Ugh, that's not good at all. Now, one thing that I just realized, guys, is I left the lead the charge card prepped in Aragorn's area for many turns past when Aragorn took a shot from behind the bush here to kill an enemy right here. So that was a miss on my part. I didn't actually discard it when I should have. So this card shouldn't be there anymore in Aragorn's prepped area, as I did take advantage of that free attack. So this card is going to be removed and discarded because I shouldn't actually have access to it. And it's okay anyway because it's the end of the round and things are going to be shuffled back in and we're going to be going into another action phase. And I never actually truly used it for any additional attacks anyway along the way. Just left it in the prep area. You guys probably were screaming at me throughout the video telling me that it was still there, but I have now discarded it. And we're going into what's going to be a very concerning shadow phase as we have a really big enemy to take down and this scout over here in the corner, which will likely come into play as well. All right, so here we go. We're going to end the hero turn and see what pain and suffering is coming our way in the shadow phase. Move 2 to attack Legolas or closest hero. So where this enemy currently is, he can actually move 2. He's going to go from this area here. Oh, no, he can't. He cannot. He would go 1 and then 2, and he actually can't get to either of us, so we'll go no target because he can't get to Legolas, who's back here. He'd need 1, 2, 3 to get there, and Aragorn's over here. He'd need 1, 2, 3, 4. So no target actually for him. Snarling, a goblin stalks after you, determined to draw blood. Move 4 spaces toward the closest hero. So as of right now, it would be 1, 2, 3, or it would be 1, 2, 3, 4. So he is going after Legolas. So I will be moving him, but he won't be attacking me. That's the bonus. Now again, he's not a ranged character, so he's going to come all the way in. The next one I have to deal with is moving 1 to attack Aragorn, our closest hero. He's already in the same space as Aragorn, so he's happy, and he's going to go ahead and attack me. Oh my gosh, that's a brutal attack. Okay, so he's going to use his superior bulk to force you back, eventually knocking you flat onto the ground. My might negates. That is a crazy amount of hits. That's 4 damage and 2 fear. After this attack, discard all boons. So we got to go back to Aragorn here and see how much he can negate. He could be in some serious trouble. Well, I'm not going to lie, I'm pretty scared right now. The good news is that Aragorn has no damage and no fear on him, so I will not be going into a last stand regardless of this, but it's still a crazy amount of damage and fear coming at me. So here we go. We're using our might to negate this. I get 3, so hope for the best. Nice. I got 1 block. That's good news. Oh my goodness. Are you kidding me? Here's all the successes coming in. Yes. Okay, 2. And I didn't have any inspiration, so that could have gone south really quick. So I have to make a choice here as to whether I'm still taking a ton of damage here. I've got a pile of 4 damage and 2 fear, and I can negate 2 of it. So what I'm going to probably do is I'm probably going to go ahead and negate the 2 damage and maybe load up on the fear because I have an increased limit of fear up to 6. So I'm going to take both of the fear. We'll do them one at a time. Actually, we'll take the damage first. So I block 2 damage, and I'm going to take 2 damage, and then we'll be taking 2 fear. So we'll see how this pans out. First damage off the top here. Oh, it's stunned. That doesn't look good. Flip 1 damage and 1 fear face up, then discard this card. Well, that's fantastic because I don't have any of those right now, so that's perfect. I can just toss this thing. That worked amazing. I'm very happy with that. So that's going to go. That is tossed. Next one. Come on, be as good, hopefully. Deep Bruise. That does not sound good. Deep Bruise. This one says discard 2 prepared cards or suffer 2. Oh, that's bad. Well, you know, oh, discard 2 prepared cards. Well, I only have 1. I can't even do the top one or suffer 2 face down damage. Then discard this card. Oh, I can't even stop this one even if I wanted to. So that's unfortunate. So when it says to suffer 2 face down, I toss this card that I currently have and I grab 2 new ones that I actually have no idea what they are, and they're going to go to the into or above Aragorn's hero card for later where they potentially could flip upright, which is nasty. So I just basically got all the damage back that I tried to avoid. So that didn't work out so well. And now we have to deal with fear next. So here we go. This one is right off the top. This is gloom. So flip this card face down. Okay, so 1 fear going in there. Hopefully I'm okay with gloom. Gloom is the normal one. This I'm not okay with. Okay, this one says, if you are in a space with darkness, well, I'm not, suffer another fear. That's terrible. Then flip this card face down. So this is just going to mess with you in terms of shadows. It's what's called looming shadows. It just makes thematic sense. So I've got 2 face down damage, 2 face down fear, but I'm still holding strong. It also says in the app, after this attack, discard all boons. I don't have any boons on me. Boons are like emboldened, determined, or hidden. I don't have any of those, so I don't lose any of them. So that is it. He's completed his attack. We'll head back to the app. So that was certainly terrifying. We'll go ahead and confirm this. The shadow deepens, though hope yet endures. Threat increases by 4. All right, so we're trying to avoid this threat event. Oh no, it's going to hit again next turn. That's so brutal. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead now. We're going to reset our decks. The bad news is Legolas does not get the advantage from Aragorn because we're still 2 spaces away from each other. Aragorn will get a 3 scout. Legolas gets a 2. So let's go ahead and do that. And we got to go after this big elite guy as he is our main target. But we also have this individual, I believe, is at 3 health and 1 armor. Who's I just have to basically pick off. Maybe Legolas can do that first. All right, Aragorn, you've seen better days. 3 cards for scouting. Here we go. Gift of Men. During your turn, you may discard this skill to discard 1 fear. Okay, that's not bad. Could actually help me out. Also has 2 fate on it. I still don't have any inspiration. That's killing me. Well provisioned. At the start of your turn, you may discard this skill for you and a nearby hero to scout 2. That could be good if I don't see any more successes coming up here. And look at that, I don't. The next one is when you test your might, you may discard this skill to add 1 success. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm actually going to prepare well provisioned, and I'm going to do this from the start for sure. I'm also going to take both of these cards because I don't have any inspiration and chuck them to the bottom of the deck. What I'm trying to do here is gamble my way into successes. So here's hoping that actually pans out. Let's head over to Legolas for a Scout 2. So here we go with Legolas. Again, I have Coordinated Strike. I still haven't used that. Resourceful, I'm going to use at the end of my turn here. I can discard it to get Inspiration and Scout 1, which sounds pretty good. But for right now, we're just scouting 2 and seeing what we get. So hopefully it's something good. Clever Wit. Not exactly what I need right now. I don't need any wit. And I do have an Inspiration to spend, which is decent. Tireless. At the end of your turn, you may discard this skill to perform an action that you have not performed this turn. I don't know if that's really useful. It could be useful in terms of getting closer to... Oh, it's not really useful for me. Neither of those are actually really that great. Although I could set myself up for 1 success, which might not be a bad idea. But I think Tireless... I may not prepare any of these to be... Well, I guess I could prepare this one just to have it, because it is a blank and it's kind of cluttering up my deck anyway. And I've actually got 3 blanks prepared. It's actually pretty good. So then I'll take Clever Wit, maybe put it on top so I can convert it to a success, and then hope that whatever's below it will gain me a success. I'm pretty happy with Legolas going ahead here and trying to take out the Scout. So we just need to pretty much get the 5 hits. If I get 2 successes, things will go well. So we're going to go ahead right now, and I'm not going to use... Well, I can't use Coordinated Strike right now at all because my target's in my zone. I don't have any friendlies in there with me. So, one other thing that I just remembered is that when Aragorn just went in the last turn, I have a card here called Travel Garb that says, before you suffer face down damage, you may prevent one of that damage. Aragorn did not do so and should have. So I'm going to go ahead and discard one of the face down damage without actually looking at it. So that is something else that you guys might not have caught, or you may have caught, but essentially that Travel Garb, if it ever turns into face down damage when I'm being given it, which the cards chose me to have that damage face down, then I can go ahead and get rid of one of them. So that actually helps me quite a bit. Don't want to forget about stuff like that. Could definitely come back to help me. Now, in terms of Legolas right now, I'm going to make an attack. I have nothing that can actually bolster that currently. So what I'm going to do is just go for a straight up attack, looking for 4 cards and looking for lots of successes. So here we go. Clever Wit allows me to convert. There's a success, so I've got enough just there. Hopefully I can do it without actually spending inspiration. That would be even better. Come on, successes. I didn't get it. So I am going to have to burn that other inspiration that I have, the last one, in order to shoot this Scout down, which is good because I got him off the board, but I had to burn my inspiration to do it. The app should give me an inspiration back, so we'll see how that pans out. All right, so 5 hits going against the Goblin Scout here. Definitely enough to take it out. Apply, and this should give me an inspiration. Yes, and I'm definitely going to take that inspiration, so it's as if I never even used it. Perfect, and I can go back to Legolas now, and what I probably am going to do is get Legolas to sit inside of this fire area so he can take shots into this area, taking advantage of the fire pit. It says, while in this space containing a fire pit, if you attack, you may discard a card with the fate icon from the test to apply pierce or smite. This could come in super handy as we try to hammer this guy into the ground. So ending off Legolas' turn, we're going to do our second action by moving into this area with fire so we can get set up to do a nice shot against our elite bad guy we're trying to take down. Of course, he's supposed to have a banner, which I did not put on him yet, but there should be one beside him. We do know that he is elite, so I'll just put this banner like this. Always when there's elites, you want to put the banners down. Because there's only one on the board right now, I didn't. He's going to make this shot later because his turn is done as of right now, but he is going to go ahead and discard the resourceful card here. It says at the end of your turn, which it is, you may discard this skill to gain 1 inspiration. So I'm absolutely doing that to set him up for later. 1 inspiration token on top of the one he already has is 2. We're moving over to Aragorn, and I have to make some tough decisions. Do I go to town and try to attack this guy and see how this all pans out, knowing that I have absolutely no inspiration? Probably not the best idea. So I'm thinking I'm going to actually provoke an attack in order to run away. Sounds like a very cowardly thing to do, but I'm just in a spot where I don't think it's going to be a wise decision to stick around there. So I'm going to do just that, although I could, yeah, I'm going to probably run away. Plus, the other thing is I'd like to show you guys what provoking attack does, and I really want to take advantage of dragging him into this area and being able to hit him with fire, which I think would be really, really cool. Now, there's probably many of you that are saying, don't provoke him, you should attack him because he's already going to attack back anyway. You're very, very valid in that strategy. I just want to show you guys another aspect of the gameplay that you haven't seen yet. So this is the provoke action down here. So I'm going to go ahead and hit provoke. You select the enemy from the tray that you're provoking. I'm provoking the worst enemy in the game. He's going to hit me with a ton of damage, which would have happened regardless, even if I had to try to hit him. And I am very unsure that I would be able to do anything really deadly to him based on the fact I have no inspiration. It says, locked in combat with the huge orc lieutenant, you failed to see when he draws a curved black blade dripping with poison. My agility negates, and it's a 4 damage and 1 fear hit. So that's pretty substantial. Let's head back to the table, see if we can handle this. All right, so as of right now, I have 2 in my agility pool in terms of a skill. Not the greatest for Aragorn, so we're going to go ahead and draw 2 cards. First one is Time of Need. Well, it certainly is a Time of Need, but I have no inspiration to do anything with it. Second one is a Success, which is 1 negate. All right, so that's something. Now we're going to be taking a lot of damage. So we have to decide, is it damage or fear? I'm going to probably go ahead and take a fear, I think. So we're first off going to negate 1 of the damage. So that means we'll be taking 3 damage face up. So let's go ahead and see how that works. But again, these are face up. If any of them turn face down, I can prevent 1. So we'll see how this pans out. First one off the top is Weariness. There you go. Flip this card face down. Something I would suffer. I can negate it thanks to my travel garb. It does say before you suffer face down damage, you can prevent 1 of it. So that's it for preventing in terms of the travel garb. Help me out there. Next one is Short of Breath. Discard all of your boons. I don't have any. Then flip this card face down. So I have to keep this one. Now I'm up to 2 damage. Going on to my 3rd damage hit. We're revealing this. It's Weariness again. Flip this card face down. I will do that. We are now up to 3 damage on Aragorn. And we do have to go ahead now and do a Fear, which is going to be face up. And we got Gloom, which is flip this card face down. So I will do that. So at this point, we have 3 wounds and 3 fear on him. My maxes are 6 for fear and 5 for damage. We are definitely looking for a rest here at some point. But I've done enough now to be able to escape for a bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to have Aragorn, now that he's done the provoke, and it's not an action provoke, you just have to provoke in order to do something else. Now I'm actually going to go ahead and clean this up, and we're actually going to have him get the heck out of there as fast as possible. So he's going to run from here for 1. I am really tempted to keep him safe by having him move 1 further away so that he still benefits Legolas in setting him up, but it keeps me away from him. If he ends up going after the closest enemy, it'll go after Legolas and give Aragorn a break to try to rest. And then if I need to, I can come in and then do an attack and gain the fire benefit rather than just sitting in here and potentially being nailed and killed off. So we'll go like that. We'll put him up here in the corner waiting to come in. And that's going to do it. I still technically have one other action to spend. Now, if I told you that I was concerned about this next one, I certainly am. I have no idea how the shadow phase is going to go down, and we are hitting a threat event on top of it, so this could get really nasty. So here we go. Shadow phase. Move 1 and attack Legolas. Perfect. This is exactly what I was hoping would happen, and it worked out exactly the way. Now, of course, it could have been Aragorn as well, but it does specify Legolas, so he's going to move towards Legolas and make an attack. That is A-okay. That's kind of how I was hoping it would pan out. Locked in combat with the huge orc lieutenant, you fail to see when he draws a curved black blade, dripping with poison. Your agility negates. It's a 4 damage, 1 fear. We've seen this attack before. Let's head back to the board and see whether or not we can negate this thing. All right, here we go. So we're going to go ahead and have our enemy move into this space with Legolas now. He's going to be making his attack. Now, one thing to note, guys, is that he does not benefit from the fire whatsoever. The terrain only benefits us. So thank goodness it's going to be agility, because I get to pull 4 cards on this. I do have 2 inspirations, so I'm really hoping that this pans out okay for me. So here we go. Let's see what happens. Light-footed, that is a success. We want to see all kinds of successes. That we don't want to see. I can't even spend a fate on that card. There's a success. Not bad. Good job, Legolas. He's, oh my goodness, dodging everything like it's nothing. So 3 full-on successes can negate 3 of the wounds. Maybe I'll take 1 wound and 1 fear. But I also have a cloak, and it says before you suffer damage or fear, you may spend 1 inspiration to prevent 1 of that damage or fear. So, because I know damage is an area that Legolas is super weak in, I'm going to choose to spend 1 inspiration that he has to negate 1 of the damage. So that the only thing I take is fear. And I'm going to take that face up. So let's see what happens. Oof, this doesn't look good. Dark Whispers. Keep this card face up. At the end of your turn, suffer 1 fear. That's really bad. When you test your wisdom, or it looks like your wit, add a success. So it kind of has a good and a bad thing going on there. That's really nasty, actually. So there we go. Okay, so that is going to be bad because it's going to just keep on haunting me as I go through. So that is going to do it for that particular attack. And hopefully when we go back to the shadow phase here, we don't get hit too hard. All right, so we've dealt with this attack, no problem. The shadow deepens, the hope yet endures, threat increases by 4, and we hit that event. Oh man, are we ever just getting hit here? Oh no, an orc hunter with ranged has shown up. So we're placing 1 orc hunter right in the zone that we just ran out of. Well, that's unfortunate, so we'll go ahead and continue on. Oh my goodness, you've got to be joking me. This is going to be a serious problem. We just got another orc marauder up here. Nasty. Okay, and we're heading towards the rally phase, and look at that, we got another event coming up soon too. This is a big problem, but the good news is we each can scout 3 going into this one. Things just got real interesting really quick. When I thought I had things under control, things got out of control, and we're going to have to go ahead now and scout. We've got some serious issues to deal with here. I gotta say, guys, my strategy has changed up so many times so far, it's actually hard to keep track of it all. I've prepared certain cards thinking I would use them, and then I didn't use them. Not because I forgot about them, but just because there's so many other things that I'd wanted to try and accomplish, and just changes of strategy and positioning on the board, which has really gotten crazy. So we're gonna go ahead now, and we're gonna pull for 3 cards scouting for Aragorn. We really need to see something that can help defend. So Undying Might is not what we need. Next up, we got Gift of Men. This could be good in terms of discarding a fear. And next up we got Strider. Thank you. I got the card that I need so badly. This one is a strike 3, guard 2. So I'm definitely taking that. It will help us to hopefully attack. It does take a success out of my deck. I'm going to put both of these at the bottom because I don't have any inspiration to actually use them anyway, and hope that we see more successes at the top. We also need to get some inspiration really badly. Let's head over to Legolas and see how he fares. All right, Legolas, here we go. So we're going off the top. We're looking for 3 cards. We got Light-footed. That's good. When you interact with a search or threat token, that's actually not exactly what we need. We get a success there, what we can potentially prep. Nice. Immortality. This is good. A rest 2 and a strike 2. That could be good for getting additional hits, especially on the attack I want to do next. Clever Wit. That's perfect, actually. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to prepare immortality. This is going to help me get a really good strike. I'm going to put clever wit like this. I'm going to put light-footed on top because I'm preparing to do a massive hit against the big boss in the middle here, and hoping that the fire can help me out. We're going to start it off with Legolas as he tries his best to put as much damage on this guy as possible. So we're going to start this off with Aragorn. Aragorn's going to be going after this guy right here, trying to put as much damage on him as possible. And as of right now, I'm going to go ahead and make a might check as I use my sword to slice this guy in half. So I'm pulling 3 cards, hoping for the best. And currently, with my current deck, I could actually, if I want to at the start of my turn here, use well provision at the start of my turn to be able to actually have Legolas and have him go ahead and scout too. Now I already know Legolas's cards up front, so that's a waste for him, but it's good for Aragorn. So I'm going to do that in order to have a better chance at getting the cards I want at the top of the deck. So Aragorn currently has on top, oh, that was a good time to do it. I got a success and a weakness. Let's toss the weakness to the bottom, keep the success on top. And then that allows us to have a better chance when we use our might. Now I also have nothing else that can really benefit me during this attack against him. So we're going to pull 3 cards. First one is a success. Second one is not a success or any fate we can use. Of course, I don't have any inspiration anyway. And Hone Agility does nothing. So that's only 1 success. Not exactly the best. So 1 success will give me 2 hits with my sword. I can actually go ahead and discard Strider, which will gain me 3 additional hits, which might be worth it. And I think it is. So we're going to hit this guy for 5 total damage by discarding that card on top of it. So let's head to the app and see what happens. So we hit this guy down here, this elite, and he's got 7 health and 2 armor. Pretty crazy. 5 damage going against him. Pretty decent though. And we'll apply. Yes. There we go. He's probably going to attack me back though. Yes, he can. He's in the same space. Oh, an orc screams a phrase of such profane intensity, you are sure you have been cursed. My spirit negates and is 2 damage. After his attack, discard 1 inspiration. I don't even have an inspiration, so that's good. So I have 2 face-up damage to try and negate now. Here we go. So using a spirit of 2, we pulled 1. That is unsuccessful. Second one is a success. So we did actually negate 1 of them, which means we'll be getting 1 damage thrown our way, which is still underneath our maximum limit. And it's going to be face-up to start. And look at that. It ends up being a weariness that ends up being flipped down. If I'd ever take flip down during an attack, the first time Travel Garb would activate saying before you suffer face down damage, you may prevent 1 of it. So, doesn't happen. Nice. Thank goodness for the Travel Garb. So, in this case now, I probably want to... it's so hard because I need to get Aragorn into this space in order to give Legolas the type of attack that I need to be able to use the coordinated attack, which is hopefully enough to take him down. So in other words, I need to provoke an attack from him, which is super dangerous, but I think I'm going to do it anyway. So we're going to go ahead and provoke an attack from him so that I'm able to move into this space to be able to have the coordinated strike take effect when Legolas attacks the big bad here in the middle. You know what's really good news? I just realized that because I chose to attack him, he actually exhausts inside of the app and goes into a darkened state, meaning that I can't provoke an attack from an exhausted enemy, meaning that Aragorn can freely move in here without taking another attack, which is perfect because of the fact I actually engaged with him and he already attacked me once during my turn. He becomes exhausted for the round and goes dark in the app. You'll see that later when we head back to the app. It's pretty cool. So the rules do state that, and that is something I forgot about until I just went back to the app and realized that it was darkened out, so I don't have to provoke an attack when I move, which is great, meaning Legolas can go to town on this guy now having Aragorn in here. So I'm going to do a number of different things here. So first off, I'm making an attack with Legolas. We're going to go ahead and pull 4 cards. We're hoping for the best. I have no benefits from Aragorn, so I'm really just hoping to get good stuff here. So Legolas gets a success. There's 1. Here is a fate for 2. Now, currently, I have 1 inspiration. So right now I have 2 successes. That does nothing for me. I need more successes. That also does nothing for me. So I got the 2 successes to be able to get the 5 hits off my bow, which isn't bad. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to discard this card that allows me to add 2 more hits. So that's going to give me 7. Okay? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and use this, which says if there's another hero in my zone in your target space, I should say, which there is, add a modifier of your choice to the attack and do a strike 1, meaning now I'm doing a strike of 8 and I get a modifier that I get to choose, plus I get the pierce modifier. So now I'm going to head back to the app and we're going to try to figure out how we can take this guy down. All right, this is going to be really, really exciting. So here we go. We're going to put all these hits on this guy here. So he's got 10 health, 3 armor, and I made an attack against him. I got 8 total hits, which is crazy high. So I'm going to go first off and get the pierce ability from the fire that's there, which automatically knocks off the armor. And then on top of it, because I know that 8 hits is not going to be able to kill him, it'll get me to here, and I've already used pierce. I'm going to do what's called lethal. Lethal's going to literally, if I get over half, I just kill him. So I'm just going to use lethal, and that's the one that I'm going to use the coordinated strike card, which is the skill card I added to my deck to take this guy down, and hopefully this does the trick. So here we go. We're applying it, applying 8 hits. Done deal. Let's see what happens. Remove him. You or a nearby hero gain an inspiration. That's huge. Now we have to decide who's going to get that inspiration, but if he's truly off the map, that's great news. He falls to his hands and knees, gasping for air and spitting dark, vicious blood. You step forward to subdue him, but something in the orc's carriage gives you a moment's warning. In a flash, he lashes out and attempts to sweep your legs from beneath you with his own. The hero who defeated him tests his agility. Okay, now this is actually terrifying. So obviously I'm going to go ahead and have that inspiration be put on Legolas, because Legolas is the one that's dealing with this right now. The good news with all of this is we've got some inspiration to spend. So our friend here is now down on his side, swinging for Legolas's, basically his shins, trying to take him down. And the really cool thing is I didn't spend any inspiration in the last attack because of the combos I was able to use with coordinated strike and discarding cards in order to get extra strikes. I didn't need to actually get all the damage. I could have used inspiration to gather another success on a hit and things like that, but it was just a waste. So I kept it, and I'm so glad I did, because now I'm doing an agility check, which is 4 on Legolas, and I'm hoping this pans out. I have 2 inspiration to spend now because I have an inspiration I gained by actually hitting him down in the first place and killing him the first time. He's obviously not dead, so we got to make sure we finish him off. So here we go. That is not how you do it. You do not become slowed. Is not the card you want to see when you're trying to avoid having your legs sweep from underneath of you. Here's a fate, so we're definitely going to go ahead and spend 1 token to convert that to a success. This is another miss. This is actually turning out to be quite a bad pull. And a success. Okay, so that's kind of a muddied situation there. I don't really know how well I did there. It's kind of an even thing. 2 successes is not all that great. I would have hoped for 3 there, but it didn't pan out. So let's head back to the app and see how I do. So I got 2 successes. Not terrible, but probably not the greatest. Here we go. Before you even strike the ground, he regains his feet and brings his massive fist down onto your chest. Okay, that does not sound good. The impact of your fall and the strike of his hand land at the same moment. You suffer 3 face down damage. It doesn't say that I get to negate any of that. So that's really bad. Place him in the space with the hero who tested and continue your assault. Oh my gosh. So I hit continue and he's back up again. So he's now back up on his feet and he has a health point level now of 8 and an armor of 1. He's still alive. Legolas still gets to go again though, because I still have 1 more shot and I'm definitely taking at him again. I do get the bonus this time of just the pierce, which will get past the 1 armor, so I need to make 8 damage. And the crazy thing is my great bow max does 7. So even if I get the perfect amount of successes here, I still can't kill him. It's nuts. But I'm still going to attack him anyway. The only other thing that I could do potentially is go after one of the other guys in the other spaces to avoid being hit. Now I did suffer a number of damage there that I have to actually take at this point. So here come 3 face down damage for Legolas, and we're just going to gather those 3 cards and place them above his character. The really bad thing about this is that he can only handle 4, so I'm already in a really, really bad spot. So the question becomes, if I attack him and I don't kill him, what I'm worried about is the fact that he will hit me back, and when he hits me back, he's going to potentially push me over. And I'm really concerned that that could end up hurting me. Now, at the other side of the coin, I looked at my discard pile currently, and I've pulled 1 success. That's 2 successes that are legitimate out of the pile. So there's actually 2 successes left in my deck. And currently of my face down deck, I have maybe 5 cards. So I have really good odds of pulling 2 successes and getting a good hit on him, plus having Pierce. So it's kind of worth it to try. But I have no idea. But I'm going to say let's do it anyway. So we're going to attack him again. We're going to pull 4 cards. I don't have the same type of bonuses that I did before, so here's hoping things go well. Oh, and the other thing I don't want to forget too is I could technically spend my one of my inspiration to block one of the damage that came at me. So it did say before you suffer, because my cloak says before you suffer damage, you may spend 1 inspiration to prevent 1 of that damage or fear. So you know what? I'm going to go ahead and spend the inspiration and just bank on the fact that, oh, this is so tough. Yeah, I think I'm just going to bank on the fact that I want to try to keep him alive. So I'm going to spend the inspiration to take away 1 of the damage that I received that was face down, so it'll go back as if I never had it in the first place. So I just have 2 hits on me. So here we go with the check. 4 cards. There's one of the successes. That's good news. Next one is a fate. I already spent my inspiration blocking, so I don't have anything there. There's another fate. Come on, where's that success? Oh, it got me. It still got me. Okay, well, it's going to give me in the end just 2 hits. But I do get Pierce because I'm in here, so the Pierce will at least go through into his damage. Really doesn't matter which way I went there. Either way, I wasn't going to be able to take him down. So he's got 8 and 1. I did Pierce because of the fire, which gets rid of the 1. And then I just did 2 hits. Not that great. So he's probably going to hit me back with a pretty deadly strike here. He can attack me, yes. This is where I'm in trouble. So his superior bulk to force you back, eventually knocking you flat onto the ground. My might's going to negate, and as you can see here, it's going to be a hefty attack. So Legolas is going to try to negate this with might. He gets 2 cards. First one off the top is a success. That was actually the last card of the entire skill deck for Legolas, and I had to shuffle the rest to make up the rest underneath. So I knew that was going to be a success because we've only seen 3 so far, but I don't know what this one's going to be. Nothing good. So I'm able to block 1, and I'm taking 2 fear and 4 damage. I think either way I'm kind of in trouble here. I think I'm going to be going over the threshold. I might be showing you guys a last stand for the very first time, which I'm not all that happy about. So we're certainly going to go ahead and start with 2 fear face up. So the first one here is going to be hopelessness. That doesn't sound good. Discard 2 prepared cards or suffer 2 face down fear, then discard this card. Well, I guess I'm going to go ahead and actually I can't because I only have tireless. So I can't do anything about that. I can't even discard the 2 cards. So I have to go ahead and suffer 2 face down horror. That's really bad. So here we go. 2 more off the top going in. So my total currently is at 4. 3 face down and 1 face up. Not good. And I'm still pulling this one. This will be my second fear taken from this enemy that just hit me. And it's gloom and it's face down. Doesn't push me into a last stand just yet. And you don't even talk about last stands until you resolve all of the fear. And I have 5. But the thing is, when my turn ends right now, Dark Whispers gives me a fear which pushes me into a last stand anyway. So it's going to happen. And it's probably going to happen on damage. So I may be last standing on damage and fear in the exact same turn, which sounds absolutely horrifying. All right. So we're going to go ahead now and do the damage. The damage is going to be, I negated 1, 3 is coming at me. So let's see how this goes. It doesn't sound good, I can tell you that much. So here we go. Sudden sickness. Discard all of your inspiration. I don't have any. Then discard this card. Okay, so that's good. Hopefully more of those happen. Next one up is weariness. So this one here is a flip down and I have no way to prevent it. So that goes to my 3rd. If I get 1, this is my last pull for damage, and if I get this and it sticks on my character, I'm doing last stands for both fear and damage. Last one is crushed. Deplete one of your, oh, that's one of your like items that basically have depletion tokens without resolving its effect. Then flip this card face down. So yes, I have literally just triggered, now ending Legolas's turn and this attack. By ending my turn here, Dark Whispers, which was my face-up fear card, says at the end of your turn, suffer one fear. So I'm going to go ahead and suffer that fear face up. It's infighting. So infighting says each nearby hero flips up their damage. Okay, now this is just compiling into some nasty stuff. Then flip this card face down. So there's kind of a chain of events happening here that's getting a little out of control. So first off, I am going to go to the app and I'm going to specify after I flip up cards on Aragorn here that Legolas's last stand was on damage first, then his turn ended, and then the fear triggered, and we'll do a last stand on fear. Then, but first we're going to talk about Aragorn and all the cards that just flipped up because of that. Thanks to Legolas just triggering all that. So Aragorn flips up his damage cards and sees Putrid Boils. Each nearby hero flips one horror face up. So that's triggering things again. This one is Short of Breath. Discard all of your boons, then flip this card face down. So two of them are flipped down. And then Weariness, flip down again. So basically what's going to happen is one of my fear is going to flip for Legolas now. So I'm going to go ahead with all the face down ones. I shuffle them because I'm not able to know which one's which. And then I'm going to flip one face up and see what happens. So things like this can trigger quite a bit. Each other hero suffers one fear, then discard this card. This was one that was face down I've never seen before. So now we're going to be giving Aragorn a face down fear. You can see these are bouncing back and forth on each other, and Aragorn finally lands Gloom, flip this card face down. And Aragorn just hit 4 fear total. He's 1 away from checking his last stand. And at this particular point, technically, the way this worked out, you would think that I would have avoided the last stand for fear because I have 6 fear and I discarded this card right here. It got a little confusing, but this one right here would have got discarded. But remember, you would go ahead to the app first, the second that you trigger a last stand, and resolve that first. So the first thing that would have happened is my damage would have triggered a last stand. So I do a last stand for damage, which I'm going to go ahead and do. Then Legolas's turn would have ended. And when it ends, I get another fear, which would have triggered another last stand. So I'll be having back-to-back last stands. But what happens when you do your last stand, you might ask? Well, we should probably actually perform them in the app and see how that changes the card totals that we end up having going forward, or even if I survive. So it's time to do our very first last stand. This one's for Legolas, and it was because of damage. And it actually doesn't yet tell us which one it is. It just says perform a last stand in general. So I'm going to make sure I'm on Legolas and say confirm. Is this a damage or fear last stand? It's a damage one because that's the one that triggered first. You feel your body failing and you try to rally. Test your might and you need a success. So we're gonna go ahead and do that and see if we pass. Now my might on Legolas is only 2, so this may not be good. So here we go, and I have no inspiration. Oh, I passed it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we're gonna pull 2 cards for my might. It is a successful pass, and now we can go back to the app and let it know that we managed to somehow survive that. So we did actually pass this test, so we'll go ahead and hit pass. Discard all face down damage, gain 1 inspiration, and continue the adventure. Well, that's definitely helpful, and we will certainly do that. So I'm going to put 1 inspiration back on Legolas, and then all of my damage is removed from him, thank goodness, and I actually kind of have a chance again. Now, I still have to perform a last stand with fear, which may kill me, so I'm not out of the woods yet. And I'm already seeing this right here, which I'm not 100% sure what that means, but it doesn't look good. So here we go, perform a last stand with Legolas. Here we go. So this one's going to have to do with fear now. Even now, a clever trick might pull you back from the brink. Okay, we're testing our wit for 2. So remember, the good news is I have an inspiration that I gained from the last stand that I did that I succeeded in. So this might help me. Here's hoping. So there's 1 fate token, which I can convert to a success, and it really comes down to this card pull right now. That, my friends, is a fail, and there's nothing I can do about that. Well, it appears that Legolas was not able to make the check, so we're going to go ahead and hit fail. You have fallen. Remove your figure from the map. At the start of the next shadow phase, you will fail this adventure. So if this is saying what I think it's saying, it's looking like we might have just failed this adventure. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue because I believe we are at the end of this particular... You can see here Legolas has been grayed out now. Aragorn's on the brink of death himself, but this is it. I'm done all of my actions. I tried like one last push and almost was able to take him down, but it doesn't look like it was going to happen. Now we have to end this action phase going into the shadow phase, which is probably going to do it for us. The sun rises, and in the gray light of dawn, your strength finally gives out. Oh, that's not good. You push forward to finish your task, but the defenses of your foe remain unbroken. More defenders slip down from the walls around you. You have run out of time. The great orc lieutenant jeers incessantly as you make your hasty escape and barely avoid being surrounded and captured. You set up camp a short distance away, hoping to remain out of the bandits' sight while keeping them within your own. You spend the night resting and recovering, and the following morning you realize that your foes have slipped away in the darkness. You pack quickly and locate the trail, intent to not lose your quarry again. The heroes have let Gol-Gotar and his band escape. They will need to follow close behind to have a chance at stopping the dark plot afoot. Lore increases by 1, and each hero receives 3 experience. And that is gonna do it, guys. That is gonna conclude the playthrough for Lord of the Rings Journeys in Middle-earth. This is as far as I'm going to go. You can see here that we're moving into chapter 3 for the next continuation of the adventure, which is going to have us heading to Breland, it appears. So as you can see, this is really starting to branch out. Again, not every single adventure is always going to land or result in a success. It's actually really cool to see that this actually resulted in a failed adventure. This is actually the first time that I've actually failed an adventure playing this game, and I've played this a couple times with friends off camera as well as myself. So this is the first time I'm seeing this, and it's really cool to see how that changed up, and I certainly was trying my hardest to make this thing pan out in a good way, but it just didn't get there. It was super close, but just didn't have the strategy down to make it happen, and the cards weren't in my favor. We did our best to mitigate the luck side of things. I really do enjoy that skill deck mechanism. I think it's gonna be cool as you go along. I believe that most of these campaigns are about 10 to 11 adventures, so you'll see lots of change through your skill deck as you go through a campaign. I also heard that FFG is releasing a brand new campaign for the app. For those of you interested in picking up the game, so there'll be 2 campaigns, one of which comes free of charge. Well, not free of charge, but as part of the base game, never free of charge. And then the second one is actually charged, I believe. The second campaign you have to purchase, but again, we'll give you like a 10 to 11 scenario adventure you can play on and have replayability within that as well, plus that expansion pack that I showed you guys earlier on. But that's going to do it, guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. And as always, keep on rolling solo.